Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Monday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go across to our friends over in WA and speak with the high-flying East Fremantle football team. And, of course, they are flying high at the moment. They are 7-0, of course, as they head into round 9, of course, coming up. And, of course, we've got a very special guest on the show. Of course, her name is Hayley. She joins us right now. Thanks, Hayley, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity to jump on Smash FM and have a little bit of a chat about footy.
No worries. Well, as I mentioned, 7-0 to start the season. The team must be pretty happy with that at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I think if you had told me before the season started that we'd be 7-0 after the first 7 rounds, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But yeah, we're in a really awesome place. Obviously, when you're getting success and results, it's pretty awesome considering the hard work that you put in during the preseason. But yeah, it's just definitely a reflection of the hard work we're putting in the preseason and sort of reflects the culture at the club at the moment, which is, yeah, really awesome.
Saturday, down to Mandurah to take on the defending champs in Pure Thunder and completely dominated that game by 34 points. I guess, were you surprised the way that game panned out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess last time we sort of travelled down to Mandurah earlier in the season, we did get the win as well. But, you know, that was pretty early in the season when we were sort of still establishing our side and it was pretty close that game as well. So I guess we were going down to Peel with sort of a positive mindset and a really determined mindset to go 7-0 as we have a bye coming up this round. So we definitely went in with the right mindset. There's still always in the back of your mind, especially with Peel, knowing that they're the defending premiers 2 years in a row prior to this, that they're a quality side. So especially when you're playing at their home ground, it's always a bit more of a challenge when you're playing away from home. But yeah, we went into it with a really positive mindset and just we sort of followed the process and when you follow the process, that comes with success. So yeah, I mean, we were stoked to get the win down there. But yeah, it was a close game. I think 3/4 time it was only about a goal and a bit in it. So we were pretty nervous, I think, going in at 3/4 time. But yeah, the fourth quarter, we just sort of, we got a good sort of pep talk from Matt Templeton, our lead coach at 3/4 time. And I think that set the tone for the fourth quarter.
Just mentioned that you've your team's gone down to Mandurah twice, and it's only twice in about 3 or 4 weeks now. I guess, does it feel a bit strange that you've gone down there twice, even though you haven't played a game at home against them?
Yeah, so the actual reason for that, there was a fixture change. So the first round was always meant to be against them in Mandurah. The second time we played them was actually meant to be a home game for us, but we changed that because the next round we play against them is actually going to be played at the WACA, which is our West Australian cricket ground, which is a sort of an exhibition match because we're playing before our men's league side. So to allow that to happen, we had to kind of change the fixture around just to get that exhibition match next time we play them, which, speaking about that, the WACA is going to predominantly be the men's home ground for this season as the East Fremantle home ground is undergoing a lot of changes. The whole oval is being redone and there's all new facilities going in, which will be really exciting in the coming years for East Fremantle.
We'll talk a bit about that in a moment. Obviously, that's in about a month's time, in early May, against Peel on the 7th of May. But you mentioned about the week break. I guess, what are you going to be working on during the Easter break, knowing that obviously yourselves have a week off compared to, I think there's actually one game being played during the Easter break.
Yeah. So obviously East Fremantle has a bye, like a lot of teams. I think West Perth and South Fremantle still play over the Easter weekend, but every other WAFLW team gets a nice break. Yeah, so for us, I guess it's nice to have a little break, some time with your family and give the body a bit of a rest. But we also kind of need to keep the standards in terms of making sure we're still doing our running and our gymming. I think we'll probably get our Friday training off just to give some time with family over the long weekend. But yeah, we definitely still have programs being sent out by our strength and conditioning staff in terms of running and gymming, just to make sure we don't completely take a week off, because when you come back after a full week off and probably eating a little bit of chocolate over the Easter break, we don't want to be, we don't want to stop kind of the success pattern that we're going down. So yeah, we'll definitely still be in the gym and on the running track.
been almost the halfway stage of the year, which is actually earlier than normal, that has been past years. How has the team been adjusting to the early start?
Yeah, I guess with an earlier start comes heat, obviously, because we start in February, which means we're playing in pretty hot conditions at that time of the year. But we do a lot in pre-season to condition ourselves for those conditions. So playing a lot of scratch matches in the lead up to the season to try and get used to the heat. Yeah, obviously we train as well right through, November, December, January. So they're pretty hot nights on the training track as well, which definitely condition our bodies, but it's hard when you're playing in 37, 38 degree weather. But the competition tries and accommodates for that as well with different protocols around getting longer half times, getting longer quarter time and third quarter breaks, just because our bodies need that bit of extra time to just rehydrate. We also have protocols around ice towels, having fans on benches, all that kind of thing to deal with the weather in the earlier part of the season. But yeah, it can definitely be challenging for some players, but we do our best in the preseason to try and condition ourselves for that.
Not just your team's flying high at the moment, 7-0. Obviously, your Rogers Cup girls are doing pretty well as well, only having the one loss for the year, and I think your reserves are doing very similar as well. How's the vibe like around not just your senior group, but obviously the reserves and the Rogers Cup?
Yeah, it's super positive. I think something we've really focused on this year is no matter what standard of football you're playing at, whether that be in our Rogers Cup, our reserves, or our league, is everyone striving to be the standard of our league side. That's kind of been our motto for the year, is everyone's playing to be the best club in the competition at all three levels. And the sort of standards at training are set same between our youth girls, our reserves, and our league squad. And I think in the preseason we trained a lot together, which really helped kind of combine those standards across all three grades. And now training sort of separately, more so during season, that standard sort of stays the same. And I think as well, all of the coaching staff, credit to them, because they're all on very similar wavelengths. So when you've got girls that are playing youth girls one week, then coming into the league side the next week, they know the game plan, because our sort of game plan doesn't change a whole lot across our three grades. So yeah, trying to really implement everyone playing the same across all three grades, which has been really good. And cohesion for the team has been really good in terms of getting to train together, because we all get to know each other a bit better as well.
With the AFLW season has just been concluded on the weekend, are you hoping to get any of your AFLW players back?
Yeah, so I believe Taylor Bresland. I do know that she's looking at coming back from West Coast Eagles. We've had Kelly Gibson play one game for us already this year. So I'm not 100% sure if she's playing any in the sort of the off season for us, but we do hope to get a couple of Eagles girls back. And in terms of the Dockers girls, I'm not 100% sure in terms of what their club will let them do in terms of the off season. But yeah, I think we have at least 10 players across Dockers and Eagles that are actually East Fremantle girls. So yeah, if we can get any of them back, that would be a great win for us. We're just sort of waiting to hear on what happens with their protocols around the off season, and depending on when their season starts, the next season, we don't know how quick the turnaround will be in terms of their next preseason. So yeah, we're still a little bit unsure, but we do hope to hopefully get some back after the Easter break.
It's been going on for quite a while now. Obviously, where the AFLW season's colliding to the WAFL W season. How has the team been adjusting to, the uncertainty of, are you going to get it back? Are you not? How's that been going? Obviously, it hasn't deterred your team so far this year, but how has it been working throughout the past couple of seasons?
Yeah, I guess this year we've really tried to not have to rely on those AFLW players, just because of how uncertain we are about whether we'll get them or not. I think in previous seasons, sometimes you rely, or some clubs rely on getting their AFLW girls back for the second half of the season, because that sort of makes the team stronger. You hope to get more wins when you get those girls back. But I think the difference this year is we've really focused on not having to rely on those players. Obviously, it's incredible when we get them back with the experience and the talent that they bring, but we want to sort of set the core foundation within our core playing group and not have to rely on those girls. Especially, when we're super unsure about what the protocols around them are playing. And for them, they don't get to train a lot with us in our preseason, which means they miss out on learning things like the game plan and everything like that. So yeah, I guess we just try, and this year we've adapted to not having to rely on our AFLW girls as much. But yeah, when they come back, it's great for us, and they, as I mentioned, they bring a wealth of experience and talent. So yeah.
Let's talk a bit about your football journey. Where did it all start, and why did you choose it, Hayley?
Yeah, so I'm actually a tennis player. So I grew up playing tennis predominantly. So yeah, I had an all right tennis career as a kid. Played a bit of state tennis and a little bit at national level, which is really cool. But something about tennis for me that I didn't love was how individual it was. I've always been a pretty extroverted person. I love like social interactions and things like that. So I don't know, there was something about tennis that I found really difficult individually. So I struggled a little bit with performance anxiety in terms of having to perform individually each week. So yeah, I guess I had a conversation with my tennis coach about it because I was struggling quite a lot. And he kind of said, take a little break, maybe go and explore some other sporting opportunities that may involve a team and see if you prefer that over individual sport. So yeah, when I was about 16, I kind of took a little break away from tennis, and I love sport. So I was like, what am I going to do if I'm not doing tennis? And I had a friend from school who played down at East Fremantle, and I kind of lived in the area. So I've grown up being a big AFL fan. I'm a large Eagles supporter. So Dad kind of joked with me, and I sort of said, oh, maybe I'll go and give footy a go. Because that was when it was that was about 5 years ago, when it was kind of becoming a little bit more popular for girls to play football. So yeah, I kind of overcome the stress of playing a whole new sport at a whole new club and went down, and yeah, I never went back to tennis because I loved it so much. I just thrived on the team environment, and yeah, East Fremantle was a great club, and yeah, I've stayed there ever since.
Considering you were down there, 6 years ago, so I'm assuming you would have experienced some premiership success over that time, because I know East Fremantle has been involved in quite a lot of premierships,
Yep.
obviously before this Peel Thunder run at the moment. So is premiership one of those?
Yeah, so I remember I played the second season of Youth Girls we made the grand final. We unfortunately lost that game to Peel Thunder in the Youth Girls grand final that year. So seems to be something about Peel and East Fremantle in the time that I the following season, which was the 2019 season right before COVID hit, that was the first season I got to play senior football as an 18-year-old. And I was fortunate enough to be playing league football at that time. And we made the grand final that year where we played Swans Districts, and that was the year we took out the Premiership. So, yeah, being a young 18-year-old in my first ever season of league and getting to come away with a Premiership is something that not a lot of people get to experience. So, yeah, that's definitely one for the memory books for me. I'll never forget that season, that's for sure.
First season in league footy. Not obviously, when I mentioned about league footy, I'm playing at home, it's the senior team, not obviously the actual sport. But when you won that premiership in 2019, which I think was maybe second in a row for the club in the league, I guess, did you thought the game sort of came a bit easy, considering you made a grand final in Rogers Cup, fell short, and then you've won a premiership?
Yeah, I guess it was, playing in that game, it was a very incredible vibe because it was the first season we were actually considered the WAFL W, which is aligned with the WAFL men's, which means that grand final was the first grand final that got televised on Channel 7. We had a lot of AFLW girls playing in it. So I think the experience in the Youth Girls Grand Final was good to have that experience in a grand final, but it didn't quite compare to the big stage where you've got Channel 7 there and you're playing as a young kid sort of on AFLW players. It was, a surreal experience that I'll never forget. But I think the senior playing group, and we had Nikki Harwood as our coach at the time, who is an incredibly experienced coach. So for me, they were telling me what to do, and it's sort of, I was guided by them and just did what I got told. And yeah, it was definitely stressful, but a very, very cool experience to do that as an 18-year-old.
How good was it to hold the Premiership Cup when you got the chance to hold it? And do you still have that Premiership medal now?
Yeah, definitely. Again, super incredible experience. I'll never forget that. probably gives me goosebumps talking about. I won't lie. But yeah, no. In my room, I've still got the Premiership jersey with my medal around it. So that's a little prized possession I like to keep in my room. Hopefully, we can add some more medals to the collection over the time. But yeah, no, definitely keep that one in a special spot in my room.
Ask, what position do you play on the field? And if you had a dream position where you love to convince the coaches to put you, where would that be, Hayley?
Well, I do play off the halfback generally. I feel like
Nice.
something about just a natural defense mechanism in my body. I love defending. But I do admit when you get a sneaky chance to go up forward and kick some goal, it is fun. I always say the back line has the hardest job
Yes.
because if we stuff up, you cost a goal, which is terrifying. And if you do something good, it's great, but it's not quite the same as the celebration you get to have as kicking a goal. So, yeah, when I get thrown in the forward line, which doesn't happen very often, I do enjoy if I can sneak a cheeky goal here and there.
So, what does the sport of football mean to you, and especially being there at East Fremantle?
Yeah, I think, as I said, coming from tennis, which was so individual, I didn't get that proper taste of a team environment. And I don't know, football has sort of just showed me that, I don't know, it's like having a second family. I don't know, it's you build connections and you build relationships with people that are so strong and so unbreakable. And, you know, I've made some of my closest friends out of just playing football. So yeah, I always find it's kind of like going down to your second home, and everyone's so comfortable with each other and just such a supportive and comfortable environment. And when you've had sort of a crappy day, you can go to football and it's just a place where you can be happy and you can feel comfortable. And especially at East Fro, we're really family oriented. Like most of the coaches I've had over my time have either had kids or whatnot. So there's always kids running around the place. There's dogs running around the place. Like it's just one big family. It feels like a second home down at East Fremantle. So yeah, I think the culture, when I first got there, I never forget saying to my parents how cool it was to go to such a great club, and the things that they do behind the scenes to make everything work is, yeah, it's pretty awesome. And yeah, you just feel that sense of family when you're down there.
I'm assuming you got a future ambition in the sport of footy?
Yeah, for me, when I joined football, it was never a matter of like, I'm joining football to become this. It was, as I said, I joined kind of just to see how it would go, for a bit of fun, a bit of a team environment. And then obviously I ended up loving it. And that's the thing I lost with tennis, was the love of the sport. So the biggest thing for me is just to keep enjoying my football, loving what I do. But when you love what you do, I find you're the best at it. So if I keep loving my football, I keep sort of being dedicated. I mean, AFLW is the next level above where I play currently. So I do, you know, it's a lot of people that play league, WAFL W, it's their dream to play AFLW. So I think that's something that I will always strive for, and I'll always strive to be the best footballer I can be. And if that leads me to AFLW, I'll be incredibly privileged to play that. But yeah, I think to get there, it's a process. And I think to get there, you have to love what you're doing and be dedicated to what you're doing. So whether that be a consistent league player for East Fremantle, or if that's an AFLW player, I'm not going to work myself up over. But yeah, it'd be incredible to play AFLW.
Now, I know you mentioned about playing off the half-back line there at East Fremantle. I know, I think at the moment, I think there's actually another East Freo player playing in the AFLW at the moment for Collingwood. That is Ruby Slasher. I guess, you know, is she one of your role models that you're working your game off? Considering obviously she's now won many awards herself, even though she's away from home herself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been privileged enough to play in the same side as Ruby Slasher when she's come back previously and played for East Fremantle. And she's just, yeah, the tone she sets on the field is incredible. She's got such a funny sense of humor, and I just love the way she goes about her football. You can just tell she genuinely enjoys and loves the game. And the past couple of years, she's just thrived at Collingwood. Like, I think she's worked really hard behind the scenes in the gym and on the running track, and that shows. Like, she's been absolutely dominating it off the halfback. So yeah, I think one thing I love about her game is her attack on the footy and her run off halfback. But then she also has the ability to be super competitive in the air and in one-on-ones. So yeah, definitely I watch her, and it'd be great to get to that standard one day, especially when I've seen the way she goes about football on the training track. I think, yeah, she sets a great tone at training, and yeah, I love the way she goes about things. So for sure, I'd say she's one of my role models.
Let's finish up with a couple of light-hearted questions about your teammates there at East Freo. Now, Consoon across the board did as the women's program. I think you've only lost 2 games, reserves and Rogers Cup and League. So I guess my first question I'm going to ask is probably it may not be much relevant. So who had the most embarrassing moment on the field this season, and what was it?
There's embarrassing things I think that happen all the time, but I'm trying to think of one good embarrassing one. Yeah, one's not sticking out for me from this season. One that will always stick with me was Ali Noakes, who played last year for us. I think it was her debut in league. I don't know if you know about this, but
yeah,
she fully stacked it running out to the oval, and everyone saw, especially on her debut. That was probably one of the funniest moments I've ever experienced in football. But that was last year, so that doesn't necessarily count for this year. But honestly, I actually can't think of one from this year. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yes, I did know about that one from last year.
Yeah.
So.
As soon as someone says embarrassing moment on a football field, my brain just goes straight there because it's probably one of the funniest things I've seen that's happened. So I was going to say one thing that is sort of embarrassing for us that we have to kind of watch out for is this year there's been a famous Instagram page that has come to light, and it's called Faces of East Fremantle. And essentially what this person does is we still don't know who runs it. So it's a big mystery at our club that almost takes precedent over football sometimes because we're all trying to figure out who on earth runs this Instagram account. But every week they get a hold of pictures from our games, from youth, girls, reserves and league. And they like to put a little collection together of some pretty embarrassing faces that happen on field. So I guess a lot of us have been put in the spotlight in terms of embarrassing moments because there's some pretty terrible photos of facial expressions we've pulled on the field. So a little plug for that Instagram account. It's called Faces of East Fremantle. So if you want to see some pretty embarrassing photos, feel free to hit it up. And if anyone knows who the person is that running it, I think it is, please get in contact with me because it is an ongoing mystery.
I didn't know that until you mentioned that. So I'm now going to do that after the interview.
It'll definitely give you some humour.
I wasn't going to ask this question, but now you just mentioned it. So have you had any like strange ones? It's just cringeworthy that you've there's photos of you?
Yeah, I've featured a couple of times, much to my dislike, but I think Tori Revell and Larry Versace, I think they've probably featured most on said Instagram account. I don't know if they're trying to be featured on it or what the goal is, or if the person who runs it has a personal vendetta against them. But yeah, they've had a few funny moments, that's for sure. I've sort of gotten off lightly. There's been a couple, but not too many bad ones.
Who's the comedian, the best singer, and into their TikToks?
Into their TikToks. Oh, we've got a lot of young ones, and they're all into their TikToks. Amber Kinane loves a good TikTok dance. Georgie Cleaver, Zippy Fish, they get on the TikTok bandwagon. Comedian, well, I'm going to say the best comedian is whoever the anonymous owner of Face of East Fremantle because they have us all stumped, and what they're doing is quite humorous. It has us all in giggles each week, that's for sure. So I can't unfortunately name the person who runs the account, but whoever said person is, I would say they're definitely the running comedian of the year. We do have suspicions that it's one of our sort of not S&C, but one of our trainers who is also a player, but coming off a couple of years of injury. So she's not playing currently, but her name is Alice Congdon, and we have a feeling it may be her because of the sense of humour that she carries. So yeah, I've plugged her in there. So if anyone has any proof of that, then let me know. And the last one, what was it? Oh, best singer. Look, Larry Versace, she likes to have a good sing on the game. She belts some of the old classics, so I'm going to give that one to her.
Do you have a pre-game superstition or ritual?
Personally, I have to wear the same socks with my shoes to the game, not the actual like playing game socks, but just these black socks that I have to wear. For some reason, I wore them the first round because we haven't lost. I've just kept wearing them. So that's my current superstition. But I also know that our coach, Matt Templeton, his superstition is that he can't shave his beard until we lose. So considering we've won 7 games, his beard's certainly growing. So he's not going to shave that until we have a loss. So yeah, that's his pre-game superstition, which is quite interesting. But he seems to have kept it in not bad condition. It's just getting a bit longer each week.
So I can't wait to see, if you go for the whole season undefeated, what the Premiership photo is going to look like.
Yeah, he's gonna have a beard down to his chest at that point. Yeah, I'm almost like part of me hopes we at least lose one so we can clean it up at some point. But look, I won't be disappointed if we go all season undefeated.
Oh, Hayley, you got to let me know how that goes throughout the year.
Faces of East Fremantle will probably plug that on there at some point. Sort of a timeline of what we call Tempo's beard progression.
Oh, that's great. So three final ones. The first one is, does anyone have a really good nickname in the team?
Oh, I mean, we have a couple that that are probably related to some mischief that some of our players get up to outside the game, but I'll let the listeners take what they will from them. But one of them is called Funnels. So I won't speculate exactly what that means, but I guess if you think about drinking, you can try and put 2 and 2 together. But that's all I'll say about that one.
Yeah, I've already figured out what that means. Does your team have a fine system?
Yes, we do have a fine system, actually. So we have a little Google Doc going where everyone can input any fines that they have for other players. And yeah, look, at all the shenanigans that happen down at our club, I think that list by the end of the year is going to be pretty long, which is not a bad thing because it means we'll get a fair bit of money to put towards whatever we choose to do at the end of the season. So, the fines are always a funny way to to keep everyone involved and accountable for the stupid mistakes that they like to make.
So 2-part question goes to the fine system. So number one, what was the weirdest fine that you copped? And is doing this interview one of them?
100%. I'll be getting a media fine for this interview.
No.
Yeah, we have media fines. So our captain, Ashley Gomes, she racks up a lot of them every season. That's probably why she handballed this interview off to me, so she doesn't cop another media fine. The weirdest one I've received. This year I've actually been really good. I think I've forgotten things a couple of times, but I haven't made any super weird mistakes. I know the preseason camp, Larry Versace forgot her entire suitcase to bring to the camp. And mind you, we were in Waruna, which is about an hour and a half away from the Perth CBD. So that was probably one of the worst ones. She was not happy about that situation. But fortunately for her, there was someone who was kind enough that came down later to the camp that bought her suitcase. But that's probably the most significant mistake someone's made this year. So I'll just throw Larry under the bus with that one.
Don't worry, Hayley, we'll cover your fine. So don't worry about that one. So you don't have to pay for it.
I'll need it.
So final last one, what would be your advice to people that should get involved in footy?
Look, go for it. I was that kid who wasn't sure about it at 16. And then, as I said, when I joined, I never, ever went back to tennis because I just enjoyed it that much. So if you're at school, I know schools now are trying to get girls involved in footy programs a lot more. Look up your local footy teams on the internet and just go down and give it a crack. Like, honestly, whether you think you're pretty good or whether you think you're an absolute beginner, there's always going to be a club that'll accommodate for you. And yeah, women's football is growing at such a rapid pace. Or for any young boys out there listening as well, obviously the AFL is very well established and there's a lot of resources out there now for both young girls and young boys that want to get involved in football. So give it a crack. It's a lot of fun. The worst that can happen is you don't love it, and then you can go and try something else. But yeah, have a look on the internet. Have a ask of your school if they've got any local teams or if they've got a school team, and yeah, give it a go.
Hayley, thank you so much for giving up your time to join us. It's awesome having you on the show. And obviously, the team's doing pretty well at the moment. 7-0 through 8 rounds. And hopefully that continues that way after the Easter break. And, of course, which is on the road to Swans Districts, which is on the Anzac Day, of course, weekend. And let's hope that continues on to make it 8-0 against Swans Districts. So, obviously, one of the Sharks' other rivals, the Thunder. So hopefully all goes well, and I hope we'll get have a chat with you again hopefully a bit later on in the year, see how the team's travelling then.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on board, and hopefully we can continue the undefeated trend, and I can give you a little update on how Tempo's beard's going. But no, it's been awesome to come on the show. Thanks very much for having me.
No worries, and that's Hayley there, joins from the East Fremantle Sharks WAFL W team, and of course, as I mentioned, their next game's on the road against Swans Districts. Of course, we'll put all the details up on that game, which is Saturday, the 23rd of April. There's more on the Smash Sport Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.